I am Vinnie Tortorich, and folks, your good intentions have been stolen. But don't worry, I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, and that's a guarantee. This is a special Friday show, a special, well, this is going to be a bit of a tongue twister. This is a special one-on-one with Anna Vocino, where we're going to do a little something that we've done over the years, which is, we call it a 101. Anyone who's been to college knows that freshman year, the classes are all known as 101. Sophomore year, 202. I don't know if people know that. They know the term 101. Sophomore year, they call it 202, and then so on and so forth. And then you're at 400 level courses when you're junior and senior. At any rate, this is NSNG 101. Over the years, we've done them several times, sometimes twice a year. And I can't remember when we did the last one, probably 6 or 8 months ago. We do versions of the 101s where we'll do just a whole show, usually on Monday, where it's a 101 talking about just sugar or just fake sugar, or 101 exercise, cardio, 101, weightlifting. We'll just take it down to the basics to teach all the new people coming in, and also a brush up course for everyone else who may have forgotten a few things. Well, Anna and I got talking yesterday. I was out on a walk and heard from Anna, and we were talking, and we had been talking about this off and on for a week. Whenever Anna and I start calling each other too often, that means there's trouble a brewing, or there's something in the zeitgeist, in the atmosphere, and people aren't picking up what we're putting down. We normally do this right around the first of the year because everybody makes a decree. They find us. We have a big influx of people on the podcast, and then they just want to come in and learn, and they get frustrated. Maybe they can't figure everything out. They go to the Vinnie Tortorich's No Sugars, No Grains Facebook group. They get yelled at over there because the old timers forget that at one time they were a new timer. Is new timer even a word? I don't know. Look it up. I don't have time. Go Google that. At any rate, the people, it's kind of like, I guess, if you go to an AA meeting, the old timers sometimes don't want to put up with the puppies. So they have old timer meetings just for the old timers who want to complain. Usually it's women who want to complain about their husbands. I have a friend in the group. She tells me that's what they do. And, or it could be dude groups. I got another friend. He has meetings at his shop, at his mechanic shop, and all these guys show up. They can smoke in his shop, do whatever. And then I'm sure they complain about women. I've never been to one of those meetings. I'm just doing some math on that. But at any rate, people go to that Facebook group and they start going, oh, you should know this already. Well, why don't you know about cauliflower pizza dough and what it does? All right, well, what's wrong with you? Well, they forget that at one time they had a problem. Anna, by shaking or nodding your head, are you done eating that bacon? Okay, turn your mic on. Folks, she's coming in to help me with the 101, the beautiful Miss Anna Vocino.
Oh, there we go. Round of applause.
Yeah.
By the way, as I was eating the bacon, I was like, oh, that's another question we get about cured meats and checking labels. So I just added that to our list of things to plow through today. This might be a beefy 101. We have a lot to get through.
Yeah. So we will get to all of it. The reason, Anna, that we're doing it right now is I came across a whole new audience of people.
That's right. Welcome.
I picked up in less than a week, and by the way, you pick up, you can look at certain things. My Instagram went up by over 1,200 people in less than a week. And that, you know, and not everybody's on Instagram. So that's a fraction of the number of people who are probably listening to this podcast that are brand new, right? Because of the Mike Rowe show that, you know, it got out there and people, you know, started contacting. I mean, almost immediately.
They wanted them some Vinnie.
Yeah, my phone.
Where do we hear more? And you're like, 5 episodes a week, people. Tune in.
He's here. But, you know, I started noticing that my phone calls, you know, I do people can, and it's so cute, you know, the new Mike Rowe people, they're like, I signed up for a phone call. I had no idea it would actually be you. Yeah, folks.
Who did they think they were going to talk to?
I don't know. I guess they think, because so many people go, hey, I could set up a program, and Vinnie has NSNG, he sets it up, and then he gets some lackluster person to talk to me for an hour and collects the money. No. The reason I set up consults originally was not for you folks. It was for me. Okay. What does that mean? When the book became really popular and we started doing 5 podcasts a week and I started a vitamin company and what have you, I had no time to work with people one-on-one anymore. So the way I did that was I just put on my simple website, hey, you want to talk to me? Sign up. And it allows me to coach. And when I get to coach, I get to see what people are doing and what they're talking about and how they're messing up.
You get the truth.
Yeah, exactly. I get the truth, and I can use that information to help other people. So that's why I do those. And at the same time, other people are getting just a metric shit ton of great advice. So there you have it.
Specifically tailored, because while NSNG is, I always say to people, it's the platform, it's the jumping off point, it's your new reality, it's your paradigm shift. Let the folds in your brain begin to start folding, because you're going to learn some new stuff and you're not going to jump back from that. However, everyone is individual. And I bet you after you do it for a little while, you'll find some ways you want to tweak it. And so booking a consult with Vinnie is a great way to kind of, I don't want to say troubleshoot, but sometimes troubleshoot. Sometimes you don't even know where your blind spots are. And it's like working with a coach.
Well, look, most people.
You're a coach.
Yeah, most people will wait. You know, they'll lose anywhere from 20 to 75 pounds, 100 pounds, and then get stuck, get on what they're calling a plateau. I don't believe in plateaus. Although sometimes people level off for a period and then start again. That's usually when I hear from people. But whenever I'm on a brand new podcast that's pretty big, there's a ton of new people coming in. And so I've been talking to a lot of those people this week. At any rate, first I want to talk about people who may just need to lose 10, 15, 20 pounds versus people who may or may not have to lose over 100. A lot of cases, 200, 300, and 400 pounds.
That's good. I'm glad you're starting there, because that's my first question, is if you could define those kind of nuances so people could kind of automatically categorize themselves before we proceed.
No, absolutely. Because the people I spoke to this week, some of them were, hey, 20 pounds. Some of them were, hey, man, I got to get 200 pounds off, or my doctor says X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Yeah. And these are the phone calls I deal with all the time. I'm famously, people have, you see it on Twitter and everywhere else. I've lost 250 pounds. I've lost 300 pounds. I've never paid this guy a penny. And that nothing makes me happier.
Yep.
That means the information we're putting out is pretty solid, but it doesn't mean that the information is not confusing. And I don't make the information confusing. The industry makes the information confusing.
So true.
A person that needs to lose 100 plus pounds, 200 plus pounds, 300, 400 pounds. And I can't believe I'm even saying people have 400 pounds to lose, but a 600 pound person is not unusual today.
Right.
When I was a kid, that was the fattest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the 500.
Guinness World Breaker. Yeah.
When I was a kid, we didn't have the Google machine. You see, we had the Guinness Book of World Records.
To be fair, you didn't have the Google machine, so.
No, we had Guinness Book of World Records, and one of the category was the fattest twins in the world. And I will never forget the photo. They were in there year in and year out. they put them both on Honda 50s. Do you know what a Honda 50 is? It was
No.
It's a mini bike that Honda made. Just a little tiny mini bike.
Like a scooter?
Yeah, a little tiny scooter made for kids, probably between the ages of, I don't know, 10 and 12 or 13. You probably
I see. Oh, that's cute. I want one of those.
No, that was more of the moped. They made something called the Honda 50. Look for the Honda 50 trail bike. I guess it was called the trail something. But
I don't want to get way off the thing, but yeah.
They put these twins on this thing and they showed a picture of them from behind, and they were engulfing this little mini bike.
Right.
I'll never forget that photo. See if you could find that photo of
1970 Honda.
Yes.
C50.
Yeah. You see the yellow one?
One of those. Those are cute.
Right, you see the yellow one?
Yeah.
That's what they had the twins on, those two men. And they said these guys both weigh over like 500 pounds or something. And according to Guinness, at the time, can you see it? Okay. I'm remembering that photo from my childhood.
Right.
Was I wrong about the photo? And I haven't.
Oh, if you guys go to YouTube, you'll see what I'm holding up here.
Every person my age knows those guys. Do they say how much they weighed? I wanted to say 500.
By the way, that photo is from 1946. So those guys held the record for quite some time.
Yeah. How much did they weigh?
Because Vinny's not that old.
Right. No, they were in every year, and they would always have them with that picture on the mini bike. And I would marvel at those guys. We need to know their weight, Anna.
They tipped the scales at a combined weight of 1,468 pounds. A famous photo of the duo shows them riding matching motorcycles, but sadly, it was a motorcycle accident that took the life of Billy in 1979, and Benny died of heart failure in 2001.
Okay, so they lived quite a long time. Well, one of them died from, injuries sustained from a motorcycle. But, these guys, I was fascinated, 700 pounds each or thereabouts. And they were the heaviest people in the world. Folks, we have shows called My 600-Pound Life. We have shows called 1,000-Pound Sisters.
Yeah.
I'm not making this stuff up, am I?
We're in trouble. We're in trouble. We're not well.
As a people, as a world, we are in big trouble. Those people are metabolically broken. When Scott King found me on the Adam Carolla show, he was at wit's end. He quit weighing himself. He was sure that he was over 600 pounds. I like telling Scott's story because he was at wit's end. His daughter ran out into the street the day before, and he couldn't run and catch her fast enough. He couldn't even get out of his chair, right? And this is after he had gastric bypass and lost a ton of weight and then put it all back on.
Right.
Okay. That's why I love telling Scott King's story, because you know what Scott King is doing today? He's not riding a Honda mini bike.
Right.
He's riding a bicycle. Not only is he riding a bicycle, he's swimming and he's running. And guess what? When you put all three of those together, you become a little something known as a triathlete.
That's right.
The guy has lost several hundred pounds, over 300 pounds. And he's doing amazing. And he still has weight to lose, but he's doing amazing.
Amazing.
Right? So,
and he's cooking at home, which he never used to do. He's posting his pictures. He's barbecuing. He's putting his NSNG to work, which you get, to be honest, that's what we're going to talk about. You got to get back in the kitchen if you're going to make it work. Don't be afraid. We're here to help.
His wife lost some weight too. I don't think she had a lot to lose, but as a family, they're a healthier family. I like mentioning Scott for two reasons. Both of his names are one syllable and I can remember.
I was going to say, you don't remember anybody else's name. Just Scott.
Number two, he has done an amazing job, and he brags about the fact that he's never paid me a dime. Right. Yeah. As a matter of fact, to keep that running, I've given him a couple of consults since for free, because I don't want him to ever pay me a dime. So he can always say, never paid him a dime.
Right.
Right. So Scott was metabolically broken, just like those twins on the Honda 50s, just like all of it. Metabolically broken. Okay. Other people have 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds to lose. They are not metabolically broken. they can get that back pretty easily. Before I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it, Mike Rowe. The reason we're doing this is because of Mike Rowe today.
Right.
We have an influx of people because he had me on this podcast. I think I did a good job on this podcast. And here's how I know that, Anna. I never listened to the episode, but I started listening again this week.
Yeah.
And he and Chuck Klausmeyer mentioned me at the beginning of the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's how, it's like, I've been listening to that guy's show for years. I never remember him mentioning the guest from the week before.
That's awesome. That's really great.
So I think I made an impact on his audience and on them.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And by the way, isn't it crazy small world? I just have to say this on the air. This is crazy to me that Nancy Wolfson, who put us together, was Mike Rowe's voiceover agent in the 90s.
Wow. He was.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
Small world.
That is
just want to say that.
Yeah, look, Hollywood is, you stay in Hollywood long enough, it eats its own.
That's true.
It eats its own, and we all sleep with each other. So it's.
I always say, stick around long enough, they have to hire you.
Yeah.
As long as you don't bail, eventually it's a numbers game.
Yeah, they just look around and go, yeah, you're next.
All right, come on.
Yeah.
Literally 25 people dropped out, but sure, we'll take you now.
So
anyway, NSNG.
Look, I used to say that when I was doing commercials for years. It's like, who couldn't make it? Why am I here? Was Lucky for Moose busy? Lucky for Noose was the guy I was always up against. Was he busy? Is that why I'm doing this ad?
Yeah.
All right. So
the difference between somebody like a Scott King and somebody who's like, oh, I have 20 pounds to lose and it's just bothering me that I've kind of slowly packed it on over the years.
Okay. A metabolically broken person, when your A1Cs are at or beyond 5.6, okay, your doctor's telling you metformin, you need to be on metformin, which will artificially lower that number. It's not making you healthier, folks. There's a difference. If you're still eating like a jackass and your A1Cs are 11 and somehow you took metformin and got it down to 7.6, you are still metabolically broken.
You still have type 2 diabetes.
You didn't fix yourself.
No.
And if you stop taking that drug tomorrow, it will shoot right back up. It's an artificial thing that the drug will do to make you feel good about yourself. It doesn't fix you. Okay. A statin will not fix you. Okay. These are things, it will artificially lower your cholesterol. Lower cholesterol has nothing to do with lowering heart disease. Something we'll get into later.
We can talk about that on an entire episode.
You know what, Anna? Jot that down. We're bringing it up on Monday. So, folks, this is coming out this Friday.
And I'm cooking on Monday. I'm going to do from the kitchen on Monday.
Yeah. So, Anna, write that down. I want to talk about statins on the Monday show.
Yep.
Okay. So, your A1Cs are off the charts. You have fatty liver disease.
Blood pressure
is off the charts. Your blood sugar ranges way above 500. Some people 800, 1,000. It's amazing. Yeah, oh yeah. I didn't
think it could go that high.
It goes high.
I thought like 300 was high.
Oh, stick around. Stick around. And you even if you start doing this, there'll be the dawn effect and all kinds of stuff. If you're that broken, you have to get my PDF for free while it's still free, because I will start charging this year, I promise. I just haven't. I'm going to do it. And by the way, I've come up with exactly what I'm going to charge for it, Anna.
What?
$10.01.
The 1 cent is just to make up for past downloads. Why?
Because I hate when people do $9.99. Oh, what?
I do $9.99.
Yeah, $9.99.
$12.49.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
you know what?
I do that.
Nobody, and we're not buying it. Oh, it's not $9. It's $10 less a penny.
Right.
I don't like to trick people. So I'm going to make mine 10.01. So folks, get it right now while it's free, because eventually it's going to be $10.01. You're going to have to pay that $10.01 if you want to get it.
Every last penny.
As a matter of fact, listen to this podcast and download it, because when I do that, I might include this podcast with it.
That's a good idea.
Can Debbie do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Gumroad. She can set, or eJunkie or Shopping Cart. She can set it up.
Yeah, eJunkie. Go eJunkie this, Debbie.
Yeah, she knows.
All right. Okay, so
She's a smart broad.
you're metabolically broken. Okay. And you need to follow my PDF to the T. That means the first month you are living on nothing but high fat and protein. You are losing carbohydrates as a macronutrient altogether. Sorry. That's the only way you're going to fix yourself. There's only one other way to fix yourself, and that's to go find someone like Dr. Jason Fung and do a medical fast. Yeah, so that will work too, where you're cutting out all macronutrients. You're just cutting out food until you correct yourself. I don't like the idea of doing that. People have lives, wives, work, you name it, right? So I rather see people just cut out the macronutrient that's causing the problem.
Now, I know why you say 30 days, but you know what I'm going to say is because you're changing so much. You're taking all these physical steps of cutting out sugars and grains. You're learning new ways to eat, new ways to cook. You're having to shift the paradigms of how you're going to handle social situations. The world's open again. You're at work, you're traveling, all this stuff. I always say commit to 60 days doing it, because so much stuff is going to happen. You're going to learn so much in the first 30 days. And the temptation is at the end of 30 days. And now I say this because I hear y'all in the Clubhouse check-ins go, when I did 30 days and then I immediately ate cheesecake or McDonald's or whatever it is at the 31 days, because you still have the thing that goes, I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to use that food as a reward. And I always say, if you go 60 days, you'll have more time to feel comfortable with it. Now, I know why Vinnie says 30 days, because he just wants to get you doing it. And exactly. I understand it. But if you feel like in your heart, you can say, I'm going to do 60 days before I even consider anything else, to go through all the process and learning and I'm going to listen to this 101 that they're doing over and over again until it's in my bones. Because what winds up happening is that people take the physical steps, but they're kind of white knuckling, and then they're not really addressing the emotional component below it. And then they're like, boom, right off the rails.
You know what, Anna, I tell people on the phone calls all the time, I'm telling you 30 days, but if you ask Anna Vocino, she'll say 45. And if you could go 60, do that. Because Anna was that person who ate, she was eating her feelings left, right, and center and dealing, and it wasn't until she put 60 days in, and a lot of people do the 60 days. I'm not telling people 30 days and then you go back to your cheesecake and your flourless chocolate cake and your snickerdoodles. Do people still eat snickerdoodles?
Sure.
They must.
Don't write me about doing a snickerdoodle recipe out of cauliflower, y'all.
She's not doing it.
Back away.
Yeah, just that is wrong in every direction.
Back away from the snickerdoodle cauliflower.
Here's the deal. What I'm talking about is after 30 days, that's when you can throw carbohydrates back in, such as broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts.
Oh, you're saying don't even have broccoli or cauliflower in the first 30 days?
Yeah, I'm telling these people to go as strict as they can. Now, you can have some of that, but I want them just to cut carbs as much as they can. No, definitely no fruit of any sort, not even the berries.
Yep.
Not even the berries. I like them to cut it out. Now, some people say, Vinnie, I listen to everything. I just did berries, a few berries with heavy whipping cream. I'm fine with that. That's not going to really do anything. Right.
But you're saying don't do that every night.
Yeah. You can't make it. You got to get your brain to unlearn something. Right.
It's the sweet treat after dinner thing.
It's so used to that addiction to the carbohydrate. I want you guys to be. So now after 30 days, you're adding back in, as I call it, meat jewelry, the asparagus, the cauliflower, the
leafy and the cruciferous and the
all the
above ground vegetables,
all the green leafies that you want. Now, since I'm on cauliflower, I'll get this out of the way right now. If you want to do cauliflower mash at home, if you want to do cauliflower rice at home, or you could buy it in the pillows, right, Anna? They make a bag. When I first wrote the first cookbook, you had to buy a head of cauliflower and do it on a box grater to make the cauliflower rice or the Cuisinart. I did it by hand, and now they sell the bags of cauliflower rice or cauliflower pearls. Check the labels to make sure they didn't add anything else in there.
usually if you get like Earth's Best organic cauliflower, it's just cauliflower grated up. You can make the cauliflower tots, you can make the pizza crust, you can make those things with that, but you have to make sure that you get the good cauliflower rice, and you can do that. If you buy go ahead. Or you can talk about the cauliflower crust that you
yeah. So
okay, go ahead.
If you're going to buy, so people go, wait a minute, Vinnie said I can have cauliflower,
So I get the Cauliflower or whatever the brands are.
Or, there are 1,000 of them now. I just got back from that Whole Foods convention. What was that convention called?
Expo West. I'm sure it was full of cauliflower products.
Everything was keto, this, keto. And I stopped at every one of those booths. And it's like, hey, try, cauliflower pizza. Taste it. Taste it. And by the way, I took a little taste. And they tasted just like pizza, Anna.
Yeah, because they have brown rice flour, potato starch, tapioca starch.
Thank you.
Xanthan gum,
arrowroot, konjac, you name it. And they add some cauliflower to it, and they call it cauliflower crust pizza. Right. You might as well be eating the good stuff, a real Italian pie, right? Because what you're getting is identical to that. Now, if you want to make a crust at home, I think you have a recipe, right, Anna?
I have 4 crust recipes. One is dairy-free, 3 have dairy that can be adapted dairy-free. Cauliflower crust, an almond flour crust, a pork rind crust, and the dairy-free flatbread crust.
Here's the thing.
4 crusts, and I leave them all for free at my website because that's the first thing people want to make.
Everybody wants to make it.
And I get it. And by the way, my next book is going to be Italian NSNG food. That's the whole book.
Yeah.
So I got you covered.
So, look, folks, the bottom line is if you want to do it right, you got to do that. They're not I was at Expo West. It's the biggest expo. You've never seen anything like it. It goes off once a year. It costs just to walk around. Like if you wanted to go walk around, it's like $2 or $3 grand, right, Anna? Just to get a ticket.
Yeah, no, I was going to walk around, but then it didn't work.
Yeah, it's made for the industry and nothing else. Like you got to be an industry player to be in there. It's the biggest thing out there. This is where Whole Foods is and Sprouts and all the big stores go and do their buying for the year. I'm telling you, there's more junk out there than you can ever imagine. Now, before I go down the cauliflower for the next hour thing, I want to go through a couple of things in this 101. What is a sugar? What is a sugar?
What is a sugar? Well, hold on.
Go on.
Before you do what is a sugar, because what you're talking about with the nuances between things being labeled keto or paleo or whatever, what's the difference between NSNG, keto, paleo, low carb, Atkins? I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the names. Primal. I'm trying to think of all the names for before, and then go into the
paleo, keto, carnivore, OMAD, NSNG, Atkins, low carb, high fat.
Yeah, because you're going to see, LCHF, you're going to see a lot of these phrases bandied about.
Okay. They are saved for paleo. They're all about the same thing, right? They're all very close. There is no governing body, folks. You'll see keto certified on foods at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
When you see keto or keto certified, run. It's a lie. There is no group or organization in our federal government that's certifying keto.
No.
As a matter of fact, you can sell a bowl of sugar, wrap it up in a bowl and go, this is a keto bowl of sugar. There is no governing, and you can put certified keto. There's no governing body that's doing it. Just like there's no governing body saying that something is certified vegan or vegan. You put that on anything.
Listen, vegan people have the same thing where they have animal products in the thing, even though it says plant-based ingredients. So it's the same thing. You have to check your labels no matter what you're doing.
That's why they use plant-based, because listen to the wording. It's based on plants. It doesn't mean it doesn't.
But is it wholly vegan? Yeah, exactly.
And so this is how folks, if you think the government is looking out for your good interest, you're wrong, because the biggest lobbyist in our government, and this is how senators and Congress people, this is how they get paid. They get money from these lobbyists, right? This is how it works. They go in and go, look, just turn your back. Look the other way. Paleo. Paleo is a word that Dr. Cardane came up with. He was on this very podcast at one point.
That's right.
Lawrence
He owns
Cardane.
the term paleo, doesn't he? Technically.
Well, he owns the name on the book, but anyone can call something paleo. Doesn't matter. Anybody could call something keto, certified keto. Carnivore. People have been carnivorous for years. There's certain people, all that means is that you only eat meat. It's called a carnivore or carnivorous diet, right?
Right.
Most humans are omnivores. We mix it up with the veggies. Then you have OMAD. There's another term you hear. Right. OMAD is one meal a day. OMAD, OMAD. Okay. And you hear NSNG. Anna, we had to do a cease and desist. I literally have a lawyer, Scott Tepper.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would have a life where I had a lawyer on retainer all the time. But that's the world I live in now. I have several lawyers. One is on constant retainer. Scott Tepper, we had to go after someone the other day, cease and desist on NSNG. Now, I see people using it in their Instagram and on Twitter and the whole thing. They'll make their thing hashtag NSNG and all that. I'm fine with all of it. You want to write articles about NSNG. You want to, you're doing blogs on NSNG. You're talking about how great NSNG is. I don't go after any of that. But one came to my attention the other day where they said they wrote a thing about NSNG, how great it was, and then you can buy their NSNG diet. Okay, that's not cool. You cannot use my trademark to sell your bullshit diet. If anyone is going to sell anything, I will make exactly $10.01 and sell it myself. And I haven't done that yet.
For 10 years, you've made $0 off of that.
Yes.
So, wow, that gets my goat. I got to.
And by the way, for the new audience,
I hope you shut them down.
Oh yeah, they got shut down. They have to get an attorney. Go, we will stop. And so now I got my assistant Megan out there making sure that they don't put it back up behind my back.
Well, that's kind of like the book. I get Google alerts on my books every day about illegal BitTorrents of where you can download it. And I'm like, well, okay. Yeah. I guess you can get everything for free at some point and steal stuff. Anyway, well, I'm glad you shut them down.
Yeah, it is what it is. So NSNG, look, Anna knows this, and this is for all the new people. I've been offered millions of dollars to sell it to big companies so they could put NSNG certified on their products. I'm still broke. At any rate, and then Atkins, of course, Dr. Robert Atkins, he started the low carb craze back in the 70s. It wasn't the first time. Banting had done it before that and before that. It goes way back. Low carb is not anything new. Okay. So it doesn't matter what you call it. Unfortunately, after Atkins died, his family sold the name Atkins to a big corporation. You see where I'm headed here? And they started making Atkins candy bars and Atkins meal plans and Atkins. And then it becomes bastardized. Just like keto, paleo, vegan, carnivore, it all gets bastardized. NSNG is the only one that's not bastardized because I have an attorney on retainer going after people when they try to bastardize it. Are we on the same page?
We are.
Explain that, Anna.
Yep, I love it. So now, sugar. Oh, and by the way, I want to say this.
Go on.
If you are trying to cross-define things, NSNG is a low carbohydrate diet. You're taking out processed sugars and grains. It's also keto because most people, when they take those out, automatically go into dietary ketosis or at least become fat adapted, meaning they're burning fat for fuel, not glucose. And so what I like to tell people, because, I go in the clubhouses where the mainstream keto people are, and they do it very differently. So what I like to tell people is that NSNG is a real food keto diet way of eating. Yeah. You're using real foods, whole foods whenever possible. You're cooking stuff at home. We give you tips about how to order at restaurants and how to travel and all that stuff, but it's a real food keto. That's the difference. Because keto will tell you can have the keto Pop-Tarts. And when you were talking about the bastardized foods, we talked about several months ago. I was at I call it the keto explosion at the grocery store, which you guys are going to see, and you're going to think you're doing it right because you're buying all these products. Here's an example of one. So keto inherently cuts out processed sugars and grains. And King Arthur flour and King Arthur, who I like them as a brand, then my respect for them went down infinitely because they had a giant package of keto flour and the ingredient was wheat flour. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So it's just so confusing.
You put keto on everything.
They're trying to confuse people into buying their stuff.
And I'm not sure if we started the term dirty keto, but we started using.
You might have, because it's dirty. She played dirty.
Yeah, we were amongst the first that started using the term dirty keto.
Yeah.
And that might be attributed to me. I don't know. I'm in the Urban Dictionary for a few things. I'm not. That's one of them, but. That may have started here. Maybe one of our guests started talking about it here. I'm not really sure, but we call that dirty keto, where people go, "Well, I'm keto. I'm keto. I
I'm keto. I don't have regular Pop-Tarts. I have keto Pop-Tarts.
I have Halo Top ice cream. I have keto pizzas. I'm keto. I'm keto. Okay, you're not losing.
And for a while, it works, and then it doesn't.
We'll get into that.
Okay. So, define sugars. Let's talk about sugars. Get into this. We've been going for a while now. Now let's get into it. Besides cauliflower, which we've discussed.
Yeah.
What's a sugar?
Okay. So sugar. Most sugar that we know of in this country is cane sugar. It's granulated cane sugar or beet sugar. So we know what sugar is. It's a simple carbohydrate, right? And it causes a spike. There's two things. You can have a spike and a load. So what's a spike? What's a sugar spike? Now I'm going to get a little cartoony here, Anna, but it's important. So when you eat, let's say you just ate some straight sugar. You took a couple of teaspoons of sugar, you just stirred it into water and you drank it down, right? It goes through your stomach pretty quickly. It ends up in your liver and your blood sugar just spikes up because you see, we need blood sugar to live, right? But we're always topped off. By the way, there's never any more than a teaspoon and a half or 2 teaspoons in the average body that we need mingling around in our blood, in our muscles, in our
that's liver. Pretty crazy considering
when you think about how
150 to 200 pounds of human has a teaspoon of blood.
Well, no, a teaspoon of sugar.
I mean, I'm sorry, a teaspon of sugar. Right?
A little more than a teaspoon of blood.
Yeah, I hope so.
I've cut myself.
Dry it out.
I lost a gallon. So at any rate, once that's topped off, and it's usually topped off just from eating vegetation, just from eating protein, because there's a process by which if you don't take in sugar, your body will take some of the protein from the meat you eat, and through a system called gluconeogenesis, look it up, it will turn that protein into a sugar. So you're always topped off on sugar anyway. But let's say you're a little low on sugar. Some of that sugar will come from that water and that simple syrup you just made, that 2 teaspoons. All right. So what happens to the rest of it? Well, your sugar spikes, right? Your brain gets the message that you have a spike of sugar. Your liver has to do something with this. So your pituitary goes, hey, insulin, get your ass down there to that liver and cover that sugar. Insulin goes down. It yells up, hey, boss, blood is topped off. Send some to the liver. Hey, boss, liver topped off. Put some in the blood, throw some into the muscles. Sorry, boss. They're all topped off. Now insulin has a problem. So what does the boss say? Turn it into a long chain triglyceride. Let's store it as a fat. And that's what happens, right? The sugar, as dietitians will tell you, if you don't eat fat, you can't get fat. This is how you get fat, folks. The sugar turns into a long chain triglyceride and it gets stored in your fat cell as a fat. Gary Taubes wrote in one of his books, I think he wrote this in not Good Calorie, Rebecca. He wrote it in Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. By the way, if you want to read a great book, go get Gary Taubes, Taubes, Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It.
Yeah,
Great book to
I would skip the good calories, good bad calories, and go straight to why we get fat.
Yes, because it's almost a Reader's Digest of good calories, bad calories. It's a better book. And it's more reader friendly.
It's more digestible.
Yes. You see how you use that?
You're welcome. Just went into my NPR voice.
Yes. So, as Gary describes in that book, a long chain triglyceride, think of that as buying a bed at IKEA. You come home with the bed, you got the mattress, the box springs, you got the headboard, what have you, and it's all taken apart and you can easily walk it through the bedroom door. But then once you set it up in the bedroom, think of the bedroom as the fat cell, you can't get it out without taking it down again. So once you have these long chain triglycerides going into the fat cell, it doesn't want to come out, right? They will come out. We know that because we talked about Scott King earlier. They will come out, but you have to cause them to want to come out, right? You have to coerce them to come out. And that's what we're talking about here today. So sugar, it gets covered by insulin. After the body's topped off, it turns the rest into a long chain triglyceride. It stores it as a fat. You think you had a snickerdoodle or a Snickers or half a pint of ice cream and I'm fine. Where's the harm in that? Well, if you keep doing that, your body keeps storing that because your body's always topped off with sugar anyway, and you just keep storing it as fat. Okay, that's problem number one. That's sugar. But then people go, well, Vin, what if I have a natural sugar? Which makes no sense to me because...
What, can I have honey?
Yeah, what's more
natural? How about agave?
What's more natural than sugar? Sugar is already natural.
Maple syrup.
I here are my favorites. These are sugars that go by different names. You got honey. If you go to like a
beet syrup,
what are those places? Jamba Juice, Smoothie King, and
yeah,
you go. They don't give you sugar. You know what they give you?
Turbinado.
Turbinado. Yes.
I want a turbinado spike in
turbinado.
My OJ smoothie, Julius.
Yeah. You know, it's another favorite. They'll say, oh, this is the good sugar. It's cane sugar.
Yeah, it's cane sugar.
Guess what, folks? Most of it in this country is cane sugar.
Raw sugar. They call it raw sugar.
Oh, that's the other one. It's
unprocessed, Vin. It's raw.
Oh, Vin, we did a smoothie, but we put honey in it. We put corn syrup. You know, people used to do corn syrup.
We used to do K-Rose corn syrup in pretty much anything because I was brought up in the South and you make your pie with the K-Rose corn syrup over sugar.
Yeah. It's sweeter than, folks, if you can imagine something being sweeter than raw table sugar, go dip your finger in some K-Rose syrup and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Every pecan pie that my grandmother made had K-Rose in it.
And I think you mentioned agave, which is basically the same as K-Rose, except it comes from the agave. It comes from the same plant that they use to make.
Now I would so much rather I want them to repurpose and upcycle all agaves to be made into tequila. We don't need agave syrup anymore. Let's just have tequila.
Yeah, tequila is much
another
better.
thing we'll talk about too.
Much better. Jot that down on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So those are some of the common names. Again, if you go to my PDF, you'll see many more. But then there are the fake sugars, Anna. The fake sugars. Now, this is even more.
There's sugar substitutes or artificial sweeteners. There's two categories to the fake sugars.
Right.
And people love to trip up and say, yeah. But sugar substitutes are natural.
Right. I started yelling about this in the 80s before I had proof.
You're talking about Diet Coke?
Oh, I used to tell clients all the time, if you think you're going to lose weight on Diet Coke, and in the 80s, that's when the blue packet, the yellow packet, and the pink packet. There were three packets.
And
Yeah, the pink, that was what was that? Sweet and low.
Yep.
You have the blue.
Blue
that was
NutraSweet.
Yeah, it was called Equal.
Equal, that's right.
And then yellow was NutraSweet.
No, yellow is Splenda.
Splenda, yes.
But Splenda's a relatively newer one compared to when I was a kid.
Because
my dad's from Wisconsin, but he's lived in Alabama for 50 years. And so he would order iced tea, but you have to be really specific. In Alabama, you want unsweet iced tea, and they look like you're crazy. But then he takes 2 packets of the pink and puts it in his unsweet tea every time, still without fail. He's 81 years old.
But you see, that's the thing. And by the way, if you think this stuff is good for you, people don't remember this, but I do. In the 70s, it used to only be the pink stuff, NutraSweet. Yeah. The government made it illegal for a year or two. Look it up. I swear to God. And then they went, oh, okay, no, it's good. And I think they made it illegal.
It's okay. They paid us enough money for us to make it legal. So
yeah,
we're going to make it legal. You guys enjoy.
It's funny. This stuff is so bad for your health that we made it illegal. And then somehow they paid them enough and they changed their mind again.
I feel like,
go on.
I was just going to say, I feel like with all of these artificial sweeteners, they taste so badly to me that I know you get used to drinking a Diet Coke, and I understand that, but I'm also like, it tastes so bad. It's almost trying to tell you, don't have me. Your palate's trying to tell you, you know what? You don't need to do this. Just don't do it.
I've never understood. Well, I've never been a soft drink drinker. So, you know, it just doesn't matter. It's a non-starter for me, but I remember every now and then I would taste a diet soft drink. My clients were like, no, you know, because they were coming off of Tab where it tasted really, really bad. And the whole idea behind, you know, sugar-free Coke and then Coke Zero and all this, and Pepsi did their version of it. And, you know, one company had Michael Jackson. The other company had the guy from the Commodores. And, you know, this went on and on and on. The bottom line is this stuff was never good for you at all. Right. And I used to yell at people all the time and go, hey, this is not helping you. This stuff is not good. You have to stop this. And they will go, well, there's no calories. It's like, it's not about the calories. It's about what it does to your metabolic system. And I didn't even have proof. I just knew it couldn't be good for you because every time I tasted it, it tasted like a chemical. And just a couple of sips to my pure ass body made me feel weird.
Yeah.
Right.
Hashtag science.
It was literally that simple for me. It's like, this cannot be good for you. I would forbid clients. It's like, look, you got to get up. You got to stop.
Guess what, Vinny? Nobody's arguing that anymore, but they are really arguing for the OSAs and the TALs. And you know what I'm talking about.
Let's go through them, Anna.
Allulose. You want to kill your gut flora and possibly crap yourself? Have some allulose. That keto allulose syrup, enjoy. Just kidding. Don't buy it. Don't give them your money.
Yeah.
The Tals, maltitol, xylitol, erythritol. There's one other one I'm spacing out on. And erythritol is very popular. Now, all the Tals are sugar alcohols. Again, these things, if you have at all even a slightly sensitive stomach, could disrupt your gut flora and give you diarrhea, give you gas, like great. They even say at Baskin Robbins, where they use the maltitol on the sugar-free ice creams, this product has been known to cause intestinal distress. Yeah. And it does. Because I got it by accident one time when Lucy was in 8th grade, and it was awful. I was like, it's like cramping pain. Like, right. Not like, oh, I just have a little bit of gas. It was like, what? And that's honestly what diabetics are told they have to put up with if they're going to have something sweet, which is really annoying. But so the Tals will do that to you, but then they know, the food manufacturers and scientists know this. So erythritol, which is the least egregious of the making you have cramping stomach pains, erythritol, the least egregious, like I said, they mix it with monk fruit, which has now been billed as like the holy grail of natural sweeteners, is the monk fruit. But the monk fruit itself tastes weird on its own because it's trying to take this weird fruit that doesn't quite work as a sweetener, and you mix it with erythritol, which actually does taste sweet, but if you have too much of that, it'll make you crap your pants. And they're trying to turn it into the holy grail of the new low glycemic sweetener. Now, I want to say, for anybody who has a kid who's type 1 diabetic and is not able to enjoy sweet treats, I don't necessarily want to poo-poo all over innovation in the food space, because I want kids to be able to enjoy their lives and go to birthday parties and have the thing. And, you know, but for you, it might not be that great for you to eat this stuff. And Vinny's going to explain why, but I just wanted to give that disclaimer, because I'm not saying like they should pull this stuff off the shelves. You should just know and be educated what's up there and not go, oh, you know what? I have this protein powder in my shakes and it's full of monk fruit and erythritol. And I don't know why. I think it gives me an upset stomach, or I don't know why I'm not losing weight. I'm drinking this protein powder. That could very well be why.
And by the way, I noticed nothing but that across all the keto stuff and all the vegan stuff at the convention. Everybody's using all of the tolls, erythritol,
erythritol, monk fruit, especially
monk fruit.
Combined.
They're using monk fruit. They're using stevia. And by the way, stevia is no better than the rest of it. You know, they're mixing all of these things together to try to make things taste sweet and go, hey, look, 0 calories.
They're trying to make things not taste like shit.
And I walked around that convention for 3 whole days going, my God, everything is just fake food now. Famously, you guys know my story, but for the new people, you old timers have to sit through it again. Sorry. But I was at KetoCon the last time it's coming back this year. And by the way, no one likes me at KetoCon. They invite me to go speak, right? And I'm one of the keynote speakers, and they give me the spot right before lunchtime because they know I'm gonna go long and all this kind of stuff. Great, wonderful, thank you guys. But I'm always railing against the people out selling the stuff in the booths. It's like, look, don't eat that crap. I know these poor people paid $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to come hawk their wares at KetoCon, but the last time I was there, I walked into a bathroom. And everybody knows the story. The stalls, all the 2 or 3 urinals were being taken. So I kicked the stall open, and the toilet it was sprayed with diarrhea. So I went, oof.
That's the work of the talls right there.
I didn't want to pee in there because I didn't want any of it to kick up. So I just kicked open. I kicked open the next stall, and went in there, and that one was painted pretty good too. The third one looked like a Jackson Pollock. So I just waited for one of the urinals. Yeah. And then I started wondering, it's like, why is everyone getting the shits here? What's going on? And later on, because once my mind keys onto something, I can't let it go. I walked to the other end of the convention center and walked into that bathroom and noticed the same thing in there. Now, look, folks, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like they were crapping it. It wasn't like that scene in Bridesmaids, right?
Right.
But it wasn't
the shit-o-rama.
Yeah, it wasn't. But, you could see in the toilet where there was spray and all the. And folks, if you go to KetoCon this year, kick open a couple of bathrooms and look, you'll see some sprinkling of what I'm talking. I know this is gross, but this is what I'm talking about. This stuff. Your body is trying to get rid of it. You can't even make it back to your hotel room. Your body, people walk around, they sample all of this stuff with their erythritol, the xylitol, the monk fruit, all of this stuff. They're trying it, little small amounts of it, and they can't even make it back to their hotel room. They're crapping all over the bathrooms at KetoCon. It's just a fact.
If you guys want to experiment with it, go ahead. But just know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
However, I will say from a palate perspective, now my palate is very important to me because I literally write recipes for a living. And so when you quit sugar for 30 to 60 days and then you have a bite of something, I even wrote about it in the opening of my first cookbook, which is I am that a-hole at a party that's like, did you guys taste these strawberries? They taste like candy. And everybody looks at you like you're insane. And they're like, no, you know what? Tastes like candy is candy, not strawberries. But when you do give it up, natural foods taste so much better. And if you have a bite of something, oh my God, Lauren bought me something. And I know what it was. We came home and Tori had made a gluten-free cake. And I was like, okay, I'll try a bite. And I tried a bite. This is several months ago. And I tried a bite and I felt like somebody punched me in the teeth with the sugar that was in it. And I was like, thank you so much. And I just had to walk away because I didn't want to, you want to be polite and have the bite, which again, we'll do a whole 101. See, I can't say it either.
Yeah.
My job to say things about how to handle travel, social situations, restaurants. We'll do a whole other one on that. But so do you want to get to grains now?
Yes. So we talked about what sugars are and now grains.
Yeah.
This is where things get a bit more complicated because what is a grain? And folks, if you're an old timer, don't start yelling at your, don't pick up your cell phone and go, Vinny, we already know this. We know this. Stop. Ah.
He just literally had to do some prop comedy just there.
Yeah.
That was good. That was effective.
Okay. This is for everyone else because people don't know this information. A grain is anything such as wheat. Okay. What can wheat make? Wheat makes pasta. Wheat makes bread. Wheat makes
Cookies, muffins, cakes, pies.
all of that stuff, but also cream of wheat. That's wheat.
Soy sauce. It's the second ingredient in soy sauce. Most people don't know
that. Wheat is used in most cereals, like Kellogg's, well, cornflakes.
Raisin Bran, cornflakes.
Yeah, they use wheat and all of that stuff. Oatmeal is an oat. That's a grain, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are all products that are wheats. Corn is a grain. Corn is a grain, folks. So
hold on, but the number one question we do get is about corn and about oatmeal. People want to have they've been told that oatmeal is heart healthy. That's been a whole propaganda that we've listened to for 20 to 25 years. Since the 90s, we've been told have oatmeal for breakfast. It's heart healthy.
It's not. Okay. It actually causes inflammation and can be bad for your heart. So there's the truth. Corn, corn is used in everything from your Doritos to your cornflakes, your tortillas, just corn by itself.
Puffed corn is often a snack. Like they say it's lower carb, but they put they say like veggie chips, right?
Right.
But if you turn around and look, the number one ingredient is corn because they're taking the corn, adding a little bit of veggie to it, and then they puff it out so it's crunchy and call it a veggie chip, but you're eating straight corn.
So corn is in almost everything.
And corn is very inflammatory for a certain number of people.
Yeah. Corn is something you need to stay away from. So in grits, I grew up on grits.
Oh yeah. Grits.
Right? Grit. That's hominy grits. That's corn. And yes, popcorn is corn. People ask me all the time, but isn't popcorn okay? No, it's corn.
Corn on the cob. People say that. Well, what about corn on the cob? That's a vegetable, right?
Right. Corn is corn. It's a grain.
Okay.
It's very inflammatory. Rice.
Yes.
Rice. White rice and brown rice.
Told to have brown rice.
As a matter of fact, I can make an argument that white rice is healthier than brown rice, but it's a toss-up. There is no rice is not good, right?
Right.
Now, my friend Adam Carolla always goes, if I had to pick one grain, which one? Was that a good? I felt like that.
I had to pick one grain. Vinny. I can't do it anymore either. So I can only say casserole.
Listen, I'm holding your feet.
I have a rice casserole.
Yeah. What about casserole?
My chicken paprikash.
Yeah. I like paprikash. Can I have paprikash? Yeah, Adam, go eat your paprikash.
You can have my recipe for paprikash.
So we'll get into your recipe, Anna. Hang on. Sit back. Okay. Rice. I've always said out of the three top grains, meaning corn, wheat, oat, rice is the least egregious, but it's still it's a carbohydrate, right? It's a complex carbohydrate, and it will cause a load. And now let me explain what a load is. Remember earlier I explained the glycogen spike with the sugar water?
Right.
Let me explain what that was called a glucose spike. This is called a glycogen load. Now, most dietitians, and some of you guys have been to dietitians, and they explain something to you as if it was some kind of law handed down as one of the 10 commandments, probably commandment number 11. They'll say simple carbs and complex carbs are two different kinds of carbs. And you know what? They're not wrong about that statement. They are two different kinds of carbs. They will tell you that complex carbs are the healthier carbs. Those are the ones you should be eating in a heart-healthy diet. If you've been to a dietitian, this is what you've been told. Maybe even your doctor told you this because they work closely with dietitians. Okay. Dietitians came out of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and we regulate these people through the government. Hospitals use them as if they invented something, but they didn't. It was a crazy woman named Ellen G. White who came up with the whole idea of don't eat anything with a face, and that's when they started eating grains. Go on, Anna.
Watch Fat, a documentary immediately. Stop this podcast and go watch Vinny's first movie, Fat, a documentary. Google it. It should be on Amazon. It's on all the things. Watch it. He goes into the detail about it.
That's the funny thing. All of the Mike Rowe people, I went on there to promote Beyond Impossible,
right?
The fake meat industry.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all writing to me, man, I watched Fat, a documentary. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I didn't know. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Chuck Klausmeyer and Mike has watched it too. I think that's why they're still hot on my trail. So at any rate, grains. The dietitians will tell you that this is good.
Now,
it's a complex carb. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready for me to say a word? A trigger warning. Quinoa.
Quinoa is a grain, just like any other grain.
It's a seed, Vinny. It's a seed.
Tell that to your liver.
Okay.
Talk to the liver.
Note to liver.
This
quinoa is a seed. And the liver just wrote back, I don't give a F.
Yeah. Folks, I had a famous t-shirt out there for a long time. We sold it kind of like the hat I have on right now. We sold the Fuck Quinoa t-shirt. It was the #1 selling shirt we ever sold until I came out with my limited edition of bacon and eggs is my favorite cereal. And then that one took the place as the best t-shirt.
Warren still wears his Fuck Quinoa shirt with pride.
Oh, Serena wears hers. I wear mine.
Yeah.
I proudly wear mine. It only came in black.
Yeah. Like your soul.
Yeah. It's like my soul.
Okay. So here's another grain question.
Wait, hang on. I need
you want to do quinoa?
No. Hang on. Hang on to that grain question. Write it down so you don't forget.
I got it.
All right. So you know how I talked about sugar being a simple carb and it spikes and it comes down?
Yeah.
Well, when you have these heart healthy grains that the dietitians tell you to have.
Cheerios are heart healthy grains.
Yeah.
It's part of a whole grain diet.
Bread is good for you. All this stuff is going to, is good.
7 grain bread, Ezekiel bread, 7 grain Ezekiel bread Cheerios.
Let me explain to you what actually happens when you eat a grain. See, when you eat a sugar, you get the quick spike. It goes up and it comes down. Think about your kid. When your kid was really young, you brought him to a birthday party and all the kids are running around like whirling dervishes. They're just running and running and spinning and spinning. And then all of a sudden they crash and they're crying and Mommy, I want to go home.
That's right. That's why the birthday parties are from 1 to 3. They have to end, go home.
They spike, the sugar spikes these kids and they come down. When you take in a complex carbohydrate, you get what's called a glycogen load. So your glucose spikes and it stays up. So your body, your pituitary sends, hey, we need to get some insulin down there. We need to work on this. And it has to keep pumping insulin, not for 20 minutes, not for 30 minutes, but it could be hours. It can be hours that, and this is supposed to be the healthier.
There's your heart healthy grains with the mesa of insulin just continuously being pumped.
And what happens when your insulin stays up for hours and hours and hours is turning all of that sugar into long chain triglycerides, storing it as fats. Somehow my great grandmother from Italy knew this. If you eat too many grains, you will get fat. This is not new information. My great grandmother, who spoke very little English, knew this.
That's funny that you say that because my grandmother, who spoke very little English, also said that too. She would always tell the kids, don't have too much pasta. You need to have more meat. From Italy, from Puglia.
Eat your meat, And look, we heard the song, from the Wall album, how can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?
There you go.
Right? If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? by the way, Americans, in England, pudding means dessert.
All right, ready for your final grain question?
I'm not done yet.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, Anna. I got to get this out. The people
Do it.
to know.
Do it.
So what happens is you keep dropping insulin, and by the time you start to wane from that, you start to feel hungry in the middle of the day. And what do you need? Oh, you need to fill your stomach up. So you'll eat more grains and more grains and more grains and more grains. It could come in the form of ice cream. It could come in the form of tortilla chips. It could come in the form of rice. It could come in the form of pasta or bread or bagels, you name it. But you get on this train where, oh my God, I'm getting ready to have another slump. I need to pick myself up again. And that insulin is just on that, turning all of that into long-chain triglycerides, storing it as fat. And at the same time, you're becoming resistant to insulin. And
so like that feeling
go up. And when those A1Cs go up, they go, hey, we can artificially lower it. Here's some metformin. Thank you very much. Go on, Anna.
So when you're feeling hungry an hour and a half or 2 hours after you've eaten a whole thing, that's how you know you've had too many carbs in your meal. Like when you want to have a snack in between, which I think is a good metric to understand, that when you eat this way, you generally will be starting with three solid meals a day, and you probably will get rid of snacking. You'll probably notice how much you snack for nervous energy, anxiety, boredom. You know what I mean? Looking for something to do. You just go root in the fridge. You know what I mean?
Anna, let me give you the example I've given on the Corolla show several times, and I gave it on the Mike Rowe show, but it's worth it to do it again. If I gave you a bag of Doritos, you can easily empty that bag.
Mm-hmm. Cool Ranch, please.
The family bag, right?
Yeah.
You can easily empty that.
I would assume so. You wouldn't insult me with a little like single serve.
Like a hand bag. So, and if you could find something else right behind that, you could keep eating. The other example I like to give is, what do you need 30 minutes after you have a Chinese meal? You need another Chinese meal.
Right.
It takes 3 hours, folks. I don't know if you know this. It takes 3 hours for your stomach to empty its content. You just stuffed yourself with Chinese food, and a half an hour later, even though your stomach is still loaded with that Chinese meal, your brain is saying, I'm hungry, feed me again. Right?
That's the power of hormones too.
It's the hormones, it's the ghrelin and the leptin that gets released along with the, insulin and cortisol, and it's all causing this to happen. By the way, ladies, if you ever wore your skinny jeans out because you were feeling skinny and you're feeling kind of good, you're doing ladies' night, you were going to the Mexican restaurant because they had free margaritas with a bowl of chips, and you're there with your F me pumps on and you got your tight jeans on, and you have a couple of chips and a half a margarita, and next thing you know, you feel the muffin top happening and your jeans are getting tight and your pumps are getting a little tight. How did that happen immediately? Oh, yeah. Hormones, cortisol is being released with all of this, making you instantly inflamed. This is not good for your body. And every woman out there knows exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even a woman, I know it, because, and by the way, we're not helping ourselves in today's world where everyone's walking around in yoga pants, because you don't feel that pressure.
That's right. Put on some jeans. If it's been a while, you need to put on those jeans.
Put on some jeans and see where you're at. Yeah.
Can you button the jeans? You cannot trick the jeans. You don't have the give.
You put on something stretchy, and all of a sudden, that ebb and flow doesn't change.
Now, I'm just warning you for my schedule. We've been going an hour and 20 minutes, and I know we have a lot more to cover.
Yeah.
I have a hard out in 25 minutes.
We'll never get there. So, Anna, this will have to be part one.
Okay. Well, then let me get to my final grain question.
Wait, I want to finish talking about this. So if you're eating those chips, okay, we're going to just end with grains and pick up with the rest of it next week, Anna, because this is going to be a two-part.
Oh, this is so good. And then can Debbie put the two-parter in, because we still have to cover potatoes,
I haven't even talked to Debbie yet. Debbie,
alcohol, reading labels, cured meats.
Yes.
All those things for next week.
All right, listen, this is going to be a two-parter. Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
There's so much.
So I don't even know if Debbie can do this. We got to
do it. Debbie can do anything. She's scrappy.
I don't know, man. This is asking a lot.
No,
All right. So anyway, now we're talking about, you had those chips. You had that bag of chips.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Chips, right?
Thank you.
What happens is you can eat another bag of chips. So now you're rooting around. I think my wife had a half a pint of that ice cream. I
call that the sweet, salty spiral.
Oh, yeah.
You eat the chips and it's so salty, you need something sweet to offset it. And then you have
your
the sweet,
brain is just looking for more. It's looking for more carbs. You've just eaten a family bag of Doritos and you're up in the pantry going,
and then you need cookies.
I think my kid has some Swedish fish. Didn't we take the Halloween candy away and put it on top shelf?
Yeah.
You start looking for stuff, folks. I know this.
I've been talking to Reese's last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something, you know what? I think we had some honey. My wife had a tea last week and I think she bought honey. So this is
you joke about that, but George actually did that. George stole honey and put it in his tea and he got busted. So
bastard.
I know. How dare he?
So you understand what I'm talking about. People will do anything to get to more of it. Now, here's the deal. I checked. A family bag of Dorito happens to be 17 ounces of grains. And when you empty that bag, you're still looking for something else to eat because your hormones are telling you you're still hungry, right?
Well, there's nothing satiating in there. It's just salt and crunch.
Yeah, but the hormones,
no
the ghrelin and leptin is saying, I'm a bottomless pit and I need more. Now, if I took you to Meat in Santa Monica or Boa or one of those restaurants, Anna, or the Grill in the Alley. Yeah. One of them. We go to one of those, right?
No, I meant to make you take me to all of them, but then we only really go to one because of one.
I'd be broke.
Yeah,
but
that's not my problem.
And let's say you got yourself a big tomahawk and they brought you like a 1 pound tomahawk.
Yeah.
There's 1 pound of meat after the bone. So you have a whole pound of meat. Yeah. If you ate that last bite of meat, if you can even finish it.
You couldn't.
If they brought out another sizzling tomahawk, you would say, bag it up. I got to take it home. I can't get another bite in me. See.
Oh, I'd have to bag up half that tomahawk. There's no way I could eat all that.
But you understand, with one, you're having a few ounces of meat and you feel sated. With the other, you had well over a pound of corn chips and you need more. That's what happens with hormones. Now, you have one more grain question. We're going to end it right here, Anna.
Well, and I want to say too, because we were talking about earlier about breaking that kind of cycle that goes after you have okay, I'm doing NSNG. I had a pound of tomahawk. I ate 3/4 of it. I saved the rest to cook with my eggs in the morning, but I still want that bite of sweet afterwards. And by the way, when you do it enough, you will start to shake that. I promise you, it will go away, but it could be pretty strong when you first start. So before I get to my final grain question, and I know we're going to talk about this more at length, what do you recommend that people do to kind of get rid of, because it's a habit. People are used to having their dessert. They're used to having their pudding after their meat.
That's why I tell folks, first 30 days, go hard. Or as they say in the Vinnie group, go AF.
Yep. You got NSNG AF.
You have to break the habit, right? You have to put time in there. You have to start living differently. The way habits are created is by changing the way you're doing things. And no matter how badly you want to go back to the old thing, figure out ways around it. Let things happen. I always say this, folks, and it sounds crude, but it works. Wiping your ass and brushing your teeth are habits. We do not have to do either one, but no one ever considers not brushing their teeth or wiping their ass.
Right.
Right? It's a good habit to have. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same thing with your eating. It's like brushing your teeth, wiping your ass. We will stop it right here.
Wait, final grain question.
Go on.
It is kind of long though. Let me ask you. Potatoes.
Anna, we're going to add potatoes in next week. We're
going to start with potato. I have a list here.
Anna, I want to get into potatoes, leeks, cassava, arrowroot, konjac. Write those words down. You got them?
Leeks? Leeks, you mean like onion leeks?
Yeah, leeks. Yeah, because people ask me about those. I want to get into cassava, arrowroot, konjac. I wanted to get into, I'm going to circle it here on my list.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All the cassava, the in-between starches that people say they say grain-free because it's technically cassava. Yeah, okay.
Right. So we're
cassava,
going to the ones
tapioca.
that they're not all bad, folks. I'm not going to sit.
I don't know what konjac is. I don't know what that is.
Konjac is a root. It's actually very low in carbohydrates, and they make pasta from it. But usually, when they say it's konjac pasta, there's other stuff in. Anna,
because it won't bind or something, so they have to put a real binder in there or something.
I'm not sure how it works. We will talk about all of this.
Sorcery.
So here's the deal, folks.
Okay.
This Friday, this is coming out. Anna and I, what are we talking about on the Monday show? We're putting you
cholesterol. Okay, well, let me tell you this. We're going to talk about cholesterol. Plus, I'm cooking taco salad. Plus, we're going to talk about alcohol on Monday. But
yes,
may I suggest in the next 101 we talk about potatoes, oligosaccharides. I'm not going to say leeks because the oligosaccharides are all the whole thing. Right. Cassava, tapioca, konjac, fruit, the starchier veggies, what to do for treats, potatoes, nuts, and then we do need to get into what cuts of meat you should focus on when you're getting started.
Yeah.
Now, cured meats, checking labels, how to read nutritional labels is a whole thing too that we
have all of that written down, right?
I have it all written down.
I'm saving the rest of my notes right here. I had notes today, folks. You're not going to believe this.
We never do notes. This is very exciting.
So, all right. So Anna and I are coming back on Monday in 3 days.
What was the last thing that I said? Oh, cuts of meat.
Cuts of meat.
By the way, on my website, I do have an NSNG shopping list that I compiled after we did the last one of these, but it was like 5 years ago. But I have it there. If you want to get it's free, just go get it.
Oh, Anna, write this down. We cannot go without doing seed oils versus healthy.
Oh my God, seed oils. That's right. I knew
we got to do fast to cook with. I have it here, so I want you to have it on your list too.
But see, this is good because you got all this intro stuff out of the way too. So next week we can just plow right through all these things.
So next week we're doing 101-2 next Friday. So on Monday, we're going to do a regular Monday show where we play music and goof around. Anna's going to cook and we're going to have a good time.
Yep.
And then we're coming back with another one of these shows next week on Friday. Tune in for that. I'm going to keep running for another week or two some best ofs on Saturday because folks have, we played a Nina Teichel's best of.
Great.
Last week. I have a Nina Teichel's, it's in the can already, a one-on-one that's going to be coming up also. We're going to keep doing some best ofs on Saturday so that people can catch up as to what we're doing here because the audience has increased to some astronomical amount. And that's what they keep telling me.
Protein powders. We're going to talk about protein powders too.
Yes. Add that onto the list. Folks, Villa Cappelli olive oil is the longest running sponsor of this show. Villa Cappelli, Paul Cappelli and Stephen Crutchfield, two young lovers with nothing left to do. They went to Italy and created Villa Cappelli olive oil.
Only the best olive oil on the planet. No big deal.
Yeah. So you go check out Villa Cappelli. They're the longest running sponsor of the show. They do make the best olive oil. We can talk about the oils and how that bullshit has been perpetrated on us as well. I'm telling you, it's shocking. People think when you first hear this stuff, you're like, oh, you guys must be like food conspiracy theorists. And it's like, no, it's so crazy. No. And early on, we had people like Larry Olmsted who wrote Real Food, Fake Food. We talked about this whole BS with olive oil, how they can cut the olive oil with cheaper seed oils that are actually inflammatory and will hurt you. And they do different tricks. Like they put in chemical deodorizers, chlorophyll to color it. They cut it with the oils and make it taste different. And so you're Anna, you're doing next week's show.
I'm upset about it. Go get Villa Cappelli in the interim, because by the time you hear next week's show, you can have some Villa Cappelli. You can make a little salad dressing with it. You can make a little marinade for your meats. You can do a shot of it with some salt in it, like Vinnie and I like to do. And you will be very happy that you did, and you will taste the difference. Go to villacappelli.com and click through the banner ad, or go to Vinnie Tortorich and click through the banner ad for Villa Cappelli. Either way, at checkout, use the discount code Vinnie, VINNIE, not Vinnie with a wimpy Y. And you'll get 10% off your order each and every time. So go do that. Support them. They support us. I have it on perma order. I just keep ordering 3-liter tins. That's just me.
Yeah. That's what WAPs do. Folks, Anna Vocino has a little company called Eat Happy Kitchen, where she sells I almost said NSNG Foods, but that would be my company.
That's look. I was going to eat this on the air, you guys. I
Yeah.
love this nut butter so much.
Yeah.
And
As a matter of fact,
we're double promoting.
Anna, I'm going right from this podcast to I'm doing Dr. Ben Bacecchio.
Oh, great.
And then after I'm finished with him, I'm getting right back on the mic with you to do the Monday show. So
That's
the
right.
only thing I'm going to be having this afternoon besides coffee is my nut butter. But folks,
Add my bacon and I'm going to have my nut butter for lunch.
if you want a clean product, and that's what we're talking about here today, go check out Eat Happy Kitchen. It's no longer just sauces. She's got some rubbies. Yeah, she's got
The rubbies are ready. They're
The
shipping
rubbies
next
are ready.
week.
So go check out everything Anna Vocino's doing. If you are new to this and you need to learn how to cook some of this stuff, she wrote 2 books. One is called Eat Happy. The other one is called Eat Happy 2. She spells 2, T-O-O.
Yeah.
I need to talk to her about how to spell stuff
Can't
later on.
spell so good, y'all.
She went to Emory. And I think she missed English.
Well, they
class.
don't teach you a lot of those
Has
universities.
she gone to Tulane, the real Harvard of the South, like I did? I mean,
They do fight about being the Harvard of the South, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Everywhere's the Harvard of somewhere.
Yeah, even Nichols State goes, we're the Harvard of the South. It's like, sure you are, Nichols. Yeah, knock yourself out. At any rate, go check out everything Anna Vocino's doing. You know what I'm up to. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com. Click through the banner. It puts coal on the fire and it gets my train down the track. We'll leave it right there. Oh, we have a super fan page. You can check that out at VinnieTortorich.com. On behalf of Anna Vocino, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with enthusiasm.